I never forgot the lessons that I experienced in early elementary and in middle school. We could not lower the standard. We could not have low expectations. I could understand where you were coming from. I could understand your story and your background, but your struggles were not going to determine the type of education I was going to put in front of you. And when you left my classroom and when you leave our building, what you want to do, you'll be prepared for educationally. And that's what drives me. That's what pushes me in this work.
Welcome to the Shaping Freedom podcast, where we dive into conversations that inspire personal growth, transformation, and clarity in challenging times. I'm your host, Lisane Basquiat. What does it take to lead with vision and compassion in the heart of a community that's raising the next generation of leaders during a time when families, students, and educators are all being tested in new, complex, and often very difficult ways? In this episode of Shaping Freedom, I'm joined by Toria Avila, principal of Alliance Virgil Roberts Leadership Academy in South Los Angeles. Toria is not just running a middle school, she's shaping legacy through education. Her work sits at the intersection of academic leadership, emotional wellness, and generational impact. At a moment when parents are navigating anxiety, students are facing social and emotional challenges, and educators are being stretched way beyond the classroom, Toria brings clarity, groundedness, and a clear commitment to community. And today I'd like to talk a little bit about how your school's responding and why creating emotionally safe learning environments is now more urgent than ever. This conversation is a must listen for anyone who cares about the well-being of our youth and the legacy that we're building through them. Whether you're a parent, an educator, or someone doing the work of healing your own family patterns. I first want to welcome you, Toria Avila, to the Shaping Freedom with Lisane Basquiat podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We met at the Alliance event, fundraising event, last month, I think it was.
Yeah, before school was out, so a couple of months ago. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's been a couple of months.
It has.
Time has been moving. Yeah, so like maybe May.
Yeah, time has been moving so quickly. And I wanted to chat with you because we were chatting at the table and talking about your experience as an educator in 2025 with 2025 children and students and the community of parents and the world and all of that. And we had a very interesting, I thought, conversation about that, about those experiences and what they look like. And from that conversation, I started thinking about my Shaping Freedom audience and how so many of them are parents who are raising children, who are themselves dealing with, managing, navigating this crazy world.
Raising kids in 2025.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I knew that you and I would have an opportunity. I knew that you and I, if given the opportunity, could have an amazing conversation. And my ultimate intention with this conversation is for us to, first of all, shed some light on what the experience is like for students from your perspective, and also to also shed some light on what the experience is like as an educator who is putting out so much energy, putting out so many emotional, mental, educational fires. So that's what I want to talk a little bit about today.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you so much for the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
You know, we often, and I know that there's been a lot said about the work that educators do.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And the ways that you have to show up for so many people and manage so many different, the complexities of a family in many ways.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things we've been talking about forever, but we haven't really done.
Yeah, right? It's, you wonder, like, what impact am I having, right? When you said generational impact, that's my why. not to sound cliche or anything, but that is my why, as a little Black girl growing up in Watts, generations in Watts, you recognize like what it means to have a school system that does right by you, or a school system that does not do right by you. Particularly in communities like Watts or the Hyde Park area where I am. And yet we're always still trying to get it right.
What was it about school for you as a student in Watts that led you to decide, I think I want to be in this thing?
Crazy enough. So kindergarten through third grade, my mom put me in private school. But I was always a student or a girl who loved school. I loved Black women who I thought used big words. I was just like, this person is so smart. I want to be like them. And what do these words mean? And like, who is she when she walks away from this building? What is life like for her? I was enthralled by Black educated women. And so when I had them as teachers, it was just like filled me up completely. Like, this is who I could be.
Yeah.
Right. I aspire to be them. Like, and so when my mom did put me in public school, my first year, at the time I was defined as like what you would say is gifted. And I was penalized by a Black female teacher in the 4th grade for being gifted, meaning I finished her work quickly and then I wanted to help others, or I was talking. She'd give me something else and then I'd whip through it. My mom came and had a conversation with her, like, listen, right? She's coming home. She's doing this homework 5-10 minutes tops, and she needs to be challenged more.
Yeah.
I think at that time she took offense to that. And this is a thing that I push on teachers as well as a school leader. What we're not going to do.
That's one of my favorite things to say. Just a little interjection.
Yeah.
What we're not going to do.
What we're not going to do is take for granted or allow our bias to make us believe that every Black kid is coming from a Black home that does not care about education and that I have the answers because I'm the degree.
Right.
So if that mother walks in and says, this kid needs more, let's explore.
Yeah.
Let's not take it personal. Let's not take offense to it. Let's enter that space the same way you would if you were in a more affluent community.
That's right.
Because would you push back?
With curiosity.
Yeah, with curiosity.
With the willingness
With
to
the willingness, right? I have your back.
Yeah.
Right? So I was penalized. The teacher made a comment, I'll never forget, in front of the class. I finished the work and she says openly to everyone, like, well, Toria knows everything.
Oh.
And Toria is going to be able to get through all the work quickly. And it's like, what the? So that was incident number 1.
What I hear in that is a catty woman.
A catty woman with
who
a little Black girl.
Who happened to have been in a position of authority. But that behavior is like how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah. And what she didn't realize is that she had already won me over just being a Black female teacher because like I said, I already had a love for Black women that I perceived as smart, right? And I couldn't prove that they were smart. I was just like, if you could hold a conversation, that's it.
Right.
I linked in on that.
Right.
So I was moved out of her classroom because, of course, I went and told my mom, and my mom was that mom. Like, no, ma'am, you're not going to do that.
Yeah.
I was placed into a classroom with 5th and 6th graders. I was one other 4th grader in the classroom because they couldn't accommodate. So that's something else. Like, how can you not accommodate high-performing 4th graders in this school that you have to place them in a classroom with 5th and 6th graders?
Right.
Had the most amazing woman, Black woman, Miss Jones, everything. 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, finished there at the elementary. My staff is telling my mother, she can't go to school here in the community. She can't do junior high here. If you put her in junior high here, she's going to lose interest. She's going to withdraw from school because there's no school here, right?
Did they tell her where you could go to school?
They just said not here. Not here meant not here in Watts.
Right.
So, of course, I get bused. I'm bused out to like the Mid-Wilshire community. And I had a situation where the teacher makes an assignment, gives us an assignment, and Everyone does the assignment, they type it and they bring it back. I did the assignment, I had it written. And it was a moment of like, wait, I don't recall this woman ever telling anybody that this needed to be typed. And the aha in my brain was that everything that I was being praised for was simply an expectation in this other place. Whereas in the schools I was before, we were getting praise and accolades for.
Wow.
It came to me like, wait, the expectations for us in Watts are way different than in other school communities. And these are educators and educational leaders that are doing this, that are allowing this. So I understood the discrepancy then in 7th grade. My mom kept saying, you're going to be a teacher, you're going to be a teacher, you're going to be a teacher. I'm like, absolutely not. No, I'm not. No,
Really?
I'm not. Yes, I never was like, I'm going to be a teacher.
What was your
No.
other?
I thought I was going to be a lawyer.
Okay.
Yeah, because again, that seemed just so respectable. You know?
Respectable's overrated.
Yeah, it's so overrated. Exactly. And so I found my love for education when I was in college and I was a dance teacher.
Okay.
And that's when it came like midway through. But I never forgot the lessons that I experienced in early elementary and in middle school of what education needed to look like for Black and brown kids, particularly Black and brown kids from our communities, right? We could not lower the standard. We could not have low expectations. I could understand where you were coming from. I could understand your story and your background, but your struggles were not going to determine the type of education I was going to put in front of you. And when you left my classroom and when you leave our building, what you want to do, you'll be prepared for educationally. And that's what drives me. That's what pushes me in this work.
Yeah. You know, I often ask people what they wanted to be when they were 11, because I think it gives us breadcrumbs, either back to ourselves or to validate what we're doing.
Yeah.
And when I was 11, I wanted to be a social worker or a teacher.
Okay.
And in my mind, social work was different than what it often is today.
Yeah.
For me, it was I wanted to help people.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to help people in mass, and I wanted to teach. And you just mentioned that at 11, you wanted to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting that even in the way that you describe and share your experience as an educator, you're sharing an experience that seems to have advocacy as the undercurrent.
I like that.
You
That
know?
connection. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it seems like you're fighting for justice for your children,
Absolutely.
for your students.
Yeah.
You know, so it's very interesting that that seems to have been the thing that you wanted to do, and then teaching is how
I showed up in that space. Yeah. I like that. I like that.
So you are the principal of a middle school.
Yes. Ages 11 to 14.
Girl, I bow down to you.
25.
I bow down to you. Talk about raising your expectations.
I'm raising expectations and they like, girl, whatever with their expectations, right? I think this generation of children are not allowing us to define for them where they will be and who they will be.
Okay.
Unlike when I was growing up, they told us, you know, you're going to go to school, you're going to do this, you're going to do that.
This is what your life's going to look like.
This generation pushes us a lot more. They challenge us a lot more. They have a better sense, I think, of what's happening in the world, and they can call BS at an earlier age.
And will.
Than we did, right? And it's because obviously, right, they have access to so much information. And so what we're trying to do is teach them how to harness all of that and then tap into like who they really are, right? Because they are being told through social media and multiple avenues who they are. And it's not necessarily who they really are.
Right.
So we're creating those safe spaces or trying to create safe spaces, supportive spaces, and I would say spaces that allow us as adults to be a little more humble because as you said, they will call you out. And so they're not for the fluff. They're not for the BS. They are really asking the type of questions that some of us were probably thinking like, do I really need that degree?
Yeah.
Like, is that true that I need a degree? is it true that I can't be famous on social media? Because for everything that we want to feed them, they can find the hypocrisy in that, or the contradiction, or the anomaly, or the outlier, and be like, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. I think on the other side of it, they do need a lot more nurturing than we did. We're seeing a lot more students dealing with like mental health issues, their emotional well-being, because overexposure has created, there's a book called The Anxious Generation, and it talks about how the brain has been reprogrammed by this generation as a result of social media and technology. And so while I won't say they are desensitized fully, they have become desensitized to so many things that we would be like, for example, I'm thinking about like the work we're doing right now, pro-Black anti-racist work, disrupting the use of the N-word and derogatory language. All day, throughout the day, students are saying hurtful, harmful things to each other. And when you bring them to the table to discuss it, it's like, right? Like you have to really teach the harm and call it out. And I think they've become so desensitized, or trying to even teach empathy, right? How do you teach empathy to a group who's become so inundated with, to so much that's around them? But what I also say is that we can't take that for granted, because I do know that many of them will go home at night and then they replay their school day. And there was a moment in the day where they weren't safe. And so how do we create spaces where they don't have to feel that? Because a lot of them are masking, right, to push through, but we have to pull through all those layers. And then at the end, teach a math lesson.
Right. Right. At the caliber, at the level that it needs to be, so they can function in the world, because you need that as an entrepreneur. You need that as a content creator. You need to know. You need to know certain things.
Yeah.
And I'm, for the listeners, as you're listening to this conversation, because I really believe that middle school chapter is such an important one, and so as you're listening, think about who showed up for you while you were in middle school.
Yeah.
Who didn't show up for you?
Oh, yeah.
What do you wish someone had seen in you during middle school? Because you also mentioned, Toria, that these children need something that we didn't need. And I'm going to push back a little gently on that, because I think we did.
Yeah.
I think we did. I went to school. I think that what we're seeing today is in some ways an exhale of the truth.
Agreed. Yeah, they're throwing up what we
kept in, and we would hold it in, and we are very much of the, I'll speak for me, I'm very much of the, I'm fine. Generation.
The fine generation. You're absolutely right. You're 100%.
I was, the daughter of divorced parents. I had all kinds of stuff going on. There were questions that I had about the world. I was afraid at times. I was confused at times. It was, people were still talking about like the Vietnam War and all these different things. And no one ever stopped
to give us that space.
To give the space, or to acknowledge or even ask how things were going.
Yeah. And so you have high functioning, overperforming, exhausted, trying to keep it together.
That's
adults.
Right. And now you have the flip side of it.
The kids that are like,
these kids who are like
absolutely not.
I'm done.
Yeah. They're like, no,
we're not doing it. And somewhere in the middle of that,
you're absolutely right.
Is the sweet spot.
Because to that point, and thank you for naming that, when I think about my adult staff,
let's talk about that.
What you're talking about, you see it, right?
Yeah.
And the supports that they need to show up in front of the students.
Right.
Right. And I would just say in recent years, I'm seeing more adults who also say, hey, like, I was diagnosed with ADHD, or I just learned that I have ADHD. And I'm like trying to navigate that world of like, wait, I have the 11-year-old over here. And I have
needs me to gather myself.
Right. Yeah. And then I have like this fresh new 20-something-year-old teacher in the classroom who's saying like, I have ADHD as well. And I don't know how to like come to this medium and stand in front of this kid and teach them how to analyze the text.
Right.
Yeah. And so to your point of the adults need it too. And so navigating that space between a teacher who may need it and a student who may need it is difficult. It means all day I have to be intentional, right, in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Offering grace, reflective and realistic, that I can't fix it all.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Hey, it's Lisane. I created Protect Your Peace, a boundaries and accountability workshop, because I know what it's like to feel stretched too thin and how it feels when you're saying yes to everyone else, but feel like you're disappearing in the process. This workshop is your invitation to pause and to come back to you. In just 2 hours, you'll learn how to set boundaries that reflect your values, protect your energy, and strengthen your voice unapologetically. You'll also learn how to hold yourself accountable in a way that builds self-trust and momentum, not burnout. This is the kind of space I wish I had when I was deep in the cycle of over-responsibility and simply just doing too much. So I created it for you. Join me for Protect Your Peace, live or on demand, and walk away with tools you can use immediately to get back in alignment. Click the link in the show notes to register. You deserve to protect your peace and your power. How are you feeling as a leader right now?
Tired because of that space, right? But also inspired, because even if I can just put a little drop in the bucket, that will fill my cup. Of course, I want bigger than that. But we're challenged as leaders in this day and age. You also have the other component, the parents. And sometimes my parent conference looks just like this, minus microphones and cameras, but talking to parents, because there's a lot of parent guilt, especially with mothers, when they're finding out like, well, I've done everything and I've done this, they have this, we do this, and the kid is still like misbehaving. You know, or this kid is still not responding. And the parents say, this is my favorite line, I want them to have more than what I had. And I go, yeah, right. But at the same time, like, what was valuable that you did get? Because I also think like when people are on this quest to give kids more than what they have, unintentionally, they can create entitled kids, or they forget to pour into the kids things that they actually really need. And we're talking about character, right? Some sort of value system. And parents really carry that guilt. Like, I don't want them to experience what I did. So they're protecting them from everything, defending them against everything, giving them everything. Right. And then stand back and go, wow, she's a monster at home.
Yeah. And I think some of that is, wow, that's a lot. And I have like 50,000 questions in my head. I think it's important for us as parents, whoever we are, whoever parents are, I think it's important to understand your why. Because the problem with what you just described, Toria, about a parent who's like, I want this kid to have more than I had.
Yeah.
The problem is that what's missing in that equation is that individual. Because you're being driven by your own experience, what you needed, what you didn't have.
Absolutely.
And instead of pausing for a moment to consider
who's the kid in front of me,
to consider before we even get to the kid, pausing for a moment to consider, what did I need? What's happening with me? What's unresolved for me? Let me get all that straight.
Yes.
So that you can look at this person, this individual,
oh yeah,
through the lens of clarity
Yes.
and being able to see them. And I get I want my kids to have more, but we have 4 bodies: spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical. Okay. And if we're only focused on the physical, right? If we're only focused on the physical, I'm going to give you more. I'm going to give you more. I'm doing this. I'm giving you all these things. Then there are 3 others
that are not nurturing,
that are not being nurtured, and that are being neglected.
Yes.
Dare I say.
And then they show up as the monster.
And then they show up confused, not filled, lacking confidence, and trying to figure out how to maneuver when they have 4 legs and only one of them is really
working.
The sea legs are only underneath one of them.
Yeah.
And so I think that, and it doesn't mean to not pay attention to provision.
Right.
Because it's important.
Absolutely.
And we all want to live well and have our families live well.
But there's so much more.
But there's so much more.
So much more.
There's so much more. And I think that if the fruit of our labor is bruised and seems to need, but we're still throwing more and more and more at it, is that not a moment to stop?
Yeah. But the parents are coming as bruised fruit.
Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah,
it's not a judgment.
Yeah.
It's not a criticism.
No, they are. Yeah.
It's like we are all going through this experience. It's not the parents, the teachers, the administration, and the children. It's we're all going through this very challenging time.
And folks don't know how to give themselves the permission to step outside of that.
That's right.
They don't know how. And then if I don't know how to do that, and now my next charge is to be a parent, guess what I'm going to prioritize?
Right.
95% of the time, they're going to prioritize parenting, whatever that may look like to them. And then put on top of that, like, I need this kid to be a scholar when they walk out.
I need this kid to be straight because I have 50,000 things going on.
Absolutely.
And I need you to just I'm giving you the things.
Yeah.
So, and I think that some of it's obvious, but I still want to ask this question. What's one thing that you wish more people understood about what it takes to lead a school in this era?
One thing.
Or two. Whatever this is the time to say it.
One, and I think you see school leaders take so many strays, and some that are just directed at them about what the school leader is doing, what the school leader is doing. And I get it. There are bad school leaders, bad teachers, 100%. But I can speak to, and we even had we made a connection. I can speak to leaders that I am friends with, leaders that I work with, that they are genuinely showing up with a genuine, I don't know if it's I'm lacking the word for it, but a commitment to doing this work for the students, for parents, teachers, the community. And the work ain't easy.
Right.
It is not easy. We've named so many pieces to this work and so many layers. And we haven't even talked about just what books are they reading in your literature class? Right?
Yes.
Or what science are students studying?
Because it's school.
Because it's school.
Yeah.
That especially in 2025, we are. And while I say this, it's also so remarkable. I get so excited to be what's next? What's coming? But we are in a different time, and to be a leader showing up in these spaces, it is difficult. It is difficult. And we have so much to face daily. I mean, even if you think about recent things that are happening in the news, right? And my day to day looks so different. My day does not look like what I think most people would think principal's day look like.
Tell us, what does your day look like?
So I can tell you the day after graduation, I was meeting one of my students who did not show up to graduation in an alley tucked away in an apartment to give him his diploma and his math achievement award because his family was afraid to come to graduation. My day could look like that. My day could be stepping in because a teacher has had a complete meltdown in the classroom. My day could be looking at data and going, oh snap, we've got some work to do. My day could be looking like meeting with a parent and not revealing or ousting a kid because a kid has gotten into conflict with their love interest who happens to be the same sex, and the parent would pray the gay away and check them out in 30 seconds. So you're navigating that conversation, trying to take care of the emotional needs of the parent and the student in front of you. My day could be, as of now in the summer, like, okay, how soon is the construction going to be done?
Because you got to get these kids back into the room. Yeah.
Yes. My day is, all right, let's get in these classrooms and observe. And so the day of a principal in 2025 in South Los Angeles, it's got so many components and pieces to it. And then at the end, you know, what am I really assessed on? At the end of the day, they go, well, how's your data? Right? How well did they read?
Wow.
So it takes more than my passion to do this work. It takes more than a love for kids to do this work. You have to be strategic. You have to be aware, socially aware. You have to have some emotional intelligence. You have to have grace for the people in front of you and for yourself.
Right.
I go home tired.
I know you do.
I go home tired. And then I have life outside of school, you know.
Right.
My day as a principal is like telling my staff, okay, I need to leave and I need to go and pick up my mom, right? And pick her up and take her home, right? So the day of a principal's life, it is not the bell rings at 8:00, every kid in their class sitting perfectly, hands at their desk, taking in the lesson. Teacher teach a perfect lesson. Everybody rings. They go outside for a cute little cheese sandwich and an apple and go back. That ain't it.
It's not happening
at all. If I leave at 3:30, that is very, very like intentional, meaning I have a doctor's appointment. I have a meeting. I could be in that building. I've been in that building till 7:30, and not just myself, my other team members. And so I think if people understood the work, I think they'd offer leaders a little bit more grace and recognize like how we are showing up in this building with so many capacity, like so many fires, so many hugs you have to give, so much motivating and cheering. And then, hey, you can go like that for 30, 40, 50 days and then get some data that was like, work harder. So
work harder,
right? And so I am learning to give myself permission to not feel like I have to work harder, right? Because I don't know if I could work any harder.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know that I could.
How do you care for yourself?
I have a great friend group of school leaders, number one, who we can connect with and just say that thing. And like, girl, listen, one more person come one more time, right?
You just say what you have to say, the things you want to say.
Yes. So you need that.
Yeah.
And we check in on each other. So that's one. I make very intentional time. When I go home, I have my cell phone, my personal cell, on Do Not Disturb from 6 in the evening till 6 in the morning, so that I don't feel pressured if I hear it buzz. And it's, you know, I have it open for 3 people, my husband, my dad, and my mom. That's it. When I rest, and I know how to rest.
Good for you.
And I had to learn that. And there are days where I don't get it right, because you can read all this stuff and then trying to rest becomes a job. You're like, oh shit, I didn't do this. All right. But when I rest. And it's like, I give myself permission, like, nope, I'm not doing it. I love a weekend at home with nothing on the calendar and learning how to do more of that. Just like, yes.
It's my favorite weekend. People are like, let's do this. I'm like,
no, nothing.
I want no agenda. I want no schedule.
Nothing on.
If you mention a time to me on the weekend, I'm hanging up the phone on you. I'm not interested in that conversation.
Resting on the weekend with absolutely nothing to do. I love brunch with my childhood friends. Like, my best friends are my 2 childhood friends that I grew up with. And then, you know, I just, let loose. I am her, that girl. We're having our champagne and we're chopping it up. And more recently, learning how to have conversations without bringing up work.
Mm.
And it's so hard to do, right? Because when I'm with family, my family's so proud of me, and it's like the principal, it's the principal, which can naturally just lead into a conversation. But let me tell
About
you what
school.
happened today,
Yeah,
right?
Right.
And so learning how to, in spaces where it's not work, not talk about work, not bring up work, not defining myself just by the leader hat, and learning how to recognize like who Toria is at the heart of Toria and the core of Toria, outside of being Toria the leader or Toria the principal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there were 3 things that you could magic wand,
Ooh.
magic wand, right, over what's happening, and let's stick with middle school for
Okay.
now, right?
Yeah.
And I'm saying this because I think it's such a unique time. It's like hormones are involved. It's just such a unique
Yes,
time.
listen,
and
oh.
it's like right in the middle, it's middle school, right?
Yes.
So if there were 3 things that you could magic wand change,
Yes.
shift, or modify in some way, what would that be, involving any aspect of this experience?
Okay. So the first thing, I'm going to go with first thing that popped in my mind. Number one, particularly at the middle school, just shifting this idea. While I understand student scores have their place, a magic wand where everyone's brain would recognize that data alone is not it. Number one, because I think that would give us a little more wiggle room, right? And relieve the pressure. Number two, every student being in the present of a fully capable teacher. And by that, I mean the teacher's well-being is in good tact. The teacher feels healthy mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I wish it for the student and the teacher, right? That just complete well-being, right? When we step into the space, because we are being charged with something heavy, right?
Yes.
We're being charged with taking care of the kids, right? From 7 to 7. My site opens at 6:30 in the morning and kids go home by 6:30. So where every kid is in the place or in front of a healthy teacher.
That's right.
And that every teacher is fulfilled by what they do. So I'm bundling that up into number 2. And then my third thing, authentic leaders who are well rested and still feel charged to do the work. Yeah.
I wonder when the time will come that schools are
Transformed?
Well, yes, ma'am. And transformed into including other aspects of intelligence into the ways that schools are graded.
Yeah.
So I think the numbers, the test scores, and what about emotional intelligence?
Yeah.
What about mental and emotional well-being? What about those things?
Yeah.
Because those are as much a part of education as anything else.
And
I believe.
here's the thing. When I talk with people from all walks of life, whatever stakeholder there is, you say, hey, here's Toria. She's a straight A student. They go, oh, great. If I say, here's Billy, and let me show you Billy's artwork. And Billy is self-taught. The A student, nobody, not that they don't care, but they're just like, so I think we value these things, right?
Yeah.
The kid who can hold your attention in the room. Oftentimes is not your perfect data A+ student.
That's right.
When I have student tours and I pick a good variety of students to be on the tour, the people are drawn to the kids who you're talking about. The kids with the emotional intelligence, right? The kids who tell it like it is. The kids who have a story. The kids who are like, meh, Okay, let me turn in this essay.
Yeah.
But did you know, right? People are drawn to that. And so I would love a school system, right, where there was a balance, right, or more explicit appreciation for the intelligences that you're talking about, because they bring it. The music, I had a kid on paper, it's like, okay, academically, but we had a piano, and he would go in every nutrition and lunch and just play, 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 play. He played at our 8th grade graduation, and the crowd was mesmerized. Wow. And he was self-taught. YouTube. Right? I spent 180 days trying to keep him in classes, keep him from walking out of classes, on the phone with his mother, reassuring her that we're going to take care of it. But here was his gift.
Yeah.
Here was his gift.
I was a kid who went through, a student who went through gifted programs as well.
Yeah.
And as you're saying that, what I realize is the gift that I was being acknowledged for was social studies, math, science, language arts.
Yeah.
Those are the gifts that go into that bucket of acknowledgement for schools, which is very interesting. And I think that,
and that's it. And that's it.
That can be expanded.
It has to be.
Yeah.
It has to be. I'm grateful, like, we do have after school programs where we get to see our kids shine in different lights, and they shine, and I don't know, that's the heart of our school. I always say my after school program is the heart of the school, because it's where the kids get to show up fully, and we see their talents. They're more at ease, and they're more likable, because they're doing something that you know what I mean? Yeah. And so they're engaging more, and I wish schools could, like, transforming schools, reimagining what schools look like. And I think, we're starting to have those conversations within the network, but we definitely have to shift from making everything about the numbers and the data and how many kids do you have in the building, make sure you get them there every single day, all day. And I'm like, in the real world, nobody shows up all day, every single day.
Yeah. And it's like making people sit in a chair all day. I've sat around the table. I sit around the table all the time with adults, and we can't sit still.
Absolutely. Like, how many times have you picked up your phone? I have fidgeted
in this chair 10 times since just right here.
Right. What time is recess?
And I'm comfortable. And I probably could not, when I was going to school, sit with my leg up.
Absolutely.
I think we put too many expectations. We put too much pressure on children in an area where...
Adulting children.
All right, can we talk a moment about setting the vibe? If you're anything like me, your space needs to feel good in order for you to feel good. And that's why I created the Shaping Freedom line of candles. It's not just about ambiance, but really about how you align yourself internally. These are more than just candles. They shift your energy. Whether you're journaling, meditating, working out, or just taking a moment for yourself, these scents are curated to ground you, lift you up, and bring you back home to yourself. They also have an 80-hour burn time and scents that are designed to evoke feelings of alignment and internal congruency. And we can all use that. Go to shop.shapingfreedom.com and check them out. Find the one that speaks to your spirit, or buy all 4, and let them burn with intention. What are you hearing most from parents right now? What are parents saying?
Social media. That's it. Like, most of the arguments, most of the conflict starts on social media. And
what are they doing about it?
That's what they say. I don't know what to do about it.
Okay.
And so they say they won't give me their cell phone. They won't give me their code. I'm friends with them on Instagram, and I'm like, well, do you have access to their spamgram accounts and all these other accounts? So parents are, like, at a loss for words as well, because they are literally fighting against social media, technology, the cell phone, and how do I break this habit, right? Now that it's this generation of kids, they had devices in their hands at 1 and 2.
Yeah, I mean, that's part
right.
of it. Yeah.
They're digital natives. And so how do I, as a parent, navigate all of this? Because it's scary, right?
Yeah.
Several cases where kids have connected with strangers online. Couple of incidents where kids have left home to go and meet up with someone.
Yeah.
And so for parents, the biggest thing that I'm hearing is that I don't know what to do when it comes to this device and how to manage it. And I tell them they can't be friends with this person, and then they're still friends with them. And so they go, I took the phone, but then the kid has this outburst, and parents like, how much is it worth it to hold this phone from this kid if they're going to keep acting out like this? Yeah. Parents are at a loss for words.
Yeah. How do you think schools, I'm thinking about collaboration.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm wondering, like, what can schools and families do to come together and collaborate around change? Because each one of these things are kind of, they're little pieces of, like you said, pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Right. But there seems to be a collective concern for social media, and saying no.
Yeah.
It ain't working.
Yeah.
That's not the solution.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely not the solution, because adults are just as tied to their phones.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think we have to, and you mentioned earlier, the concern about, or your observation that children, our brains are being reprogrammed to operate differently. We are literally being programmed to spurts, to quick, to, get it done in 3 seconds, say what you have to say in 3 seconds. And it's impossible.
Yeah.
And it's creating an ADD culture. So what
could collaboration look like?
What could collaboration look like?
That's such a great question. And as I'm sitting here thinking about it, in order for us to come together and collaborate, and you said change, when I think about change, there has to be some change within in your own thinking.
That's right.
Right? And so I don't even know yet that the adults that have been charged with the kids, those in the building, and the parents have done the change in themselves, right? If I'm robotic, and this is not like a shot against a parent, I work a 9 to 5, I pick you up at 5:30, I'm not even in a space yet. I think about families who are forced to change. A crisis forces them to take a step back and say, what am I going to do differently? I think it takes like some healing and some self-work. And I might not just know the answer, but I know that what it would take for that type of collaboration to demand change, to create spaces for change, we have to show up at the table, all of us.
That's right.
Ready to do that. And that's a heavy charge on parents, a heavy charge on our parents. I'm working. I've got multiple kids. I need you to get to school. I need you to do this. I got to help you with the homework. I got to put dinner on the table. And so that's how so many adults are functioning. And this is sad to say. I have the parent I'm describing who's breathing and ready to put in the work and ask for change. I could probably count. And I'm literally like running faces in my head right now. A handful, 5, 6 parents who are in that space ready to do that kind of change, ready to do it. Not that they haven't thought about it, not that they don't want to do it, but are in a space where they can take it to the table and say, let's do this work. Right. The others are just caught up in life. Life is life in them.
Yes, and a child who is not connected, a child who is crying out for help, takes a lot of time and energy as well.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes
that's an extra layer.
That's an extra layer
to parenting, right?
And confronting what needs to be confronted the consequence of that is a freedom from what's holding you bound to that situation.
Letting go of what you think parenting has to look like.
And
letting go of what my kid is supposed to look like.
For yourself.
For myself. Am I able, if it means that I have to show up to school am I able to? Do I have the type of job that allows me to? Or am I in a space to say, you know what, then I don't give a damn. I'm going to do it because it's my child.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'll take the consequence on the end. It's like we have to give permission as a whole society. I don't know, like society has to shift.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Like the more
society
we're talking, the more I'm thinking. This is not just your school here in Los Angeles, one principle. This is how do we
shift how
as people who are connected to children.
Yes.
Let's just use that as the bucket of people, right? What can we do? We all know that the world has changed so much. Information has changed so much. The way we communicate has shifted so much just from one generation to the next. And until we see it as a collective, not even problem, until we see it, until we take a moment to step back
and say
what does the world look like today? And what do we need to do?
What do we need schools to look like?
What do we need the role of a parent to look like? What do we need, and how do we support the educators, the administrators? How do we support these children? Until we're willing to actually have that conversation.
And
we're going to continue to have the same things happen over and over again. And the problem with that is that there are so many people who, and I'll just say it, are living in a let's go back because that's what was great. Or before we jump all over one thing, in this pastime paradise. But guess what? It's different today. Because when I was in school, and I'm 60, when I was in school, first of all, there were no cell phones.
Right. Okay. There were no
phone
cell phones.
Time was when you got home. There was a 25-foot thing, and
it would ring.
It was ringing, and you say hello.
And
one
you
person
weren't allowed to stay on it for hours at a time.
That was it. And we didn't have TVs in every single room. And it was a different time.
Yes.
I don't know that time is the best time.
Right.
All I'm pointing to is today it's different. So we can sit here and look back as much as we want. We can talk about how it used to be. We can talk about what kind of student we were and how we behaved and what we did. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because that's not who we are.
That's not what's happening today.
Yeah. It's not who
that's
we're in
just
front
venting
of.
And it's living in an illusion. Right now, what we need to do is come together to support educators. And maybe it's not so much about whether it's your child in that school or not. Maybe it's reaching out and saying, what are your challenges? How can we help?
Yeah. And I love that we're what we call a community school. And we receive funding from the state to have these type of conversations and actually have resources to bring in community partners, right? And when you said that, it just made me think about it. So we have a partnership with the Department of Mental Health and Services.
Wonderful.
Where we brought them into our school. So parents we eliminated having to make an appointment or having to find the building somewhere in Los Angeles. They come to us on our campus and meet with our parents, right?
That is amazing.
And then,
are parents taking advantage of that?
Some of our parents are.
That's
right?
wonderful.
We're still pulling down, the stigma. But I know the very first session when we just introduced the partner to our parents, it became emotional. And this was just day one introduction. There was nothing being done other than saying, this is who we are. This is what we want to do. This is why we want to do it. And parents, just like breathing and understanding like this is what I need. And so I think in those regards, this is an outside partner, right? It's more than just the school, right? It's someone outside saying, we've got to step in and support and help. I think of a family, we kept saying like, hey, just come, like take advantage of it. A mother of 4 children, raising them on their own right now. Dad's incarcerated. And kids had been acting out since dad had been incarcerated.
Understandably.
And mom said she did a check-in on them. Like, you good? You good? Y'all think you need counseling, therapy? They're like, nope, nope. Right? But one student's misbehaving. Last situation, had to call mom in, talk to her about the behavior. The student just had a complete emotional breakdown. And mom says to me, and mind you, her oldest is about 15 and mom is like 31 and a mother of 4. She says, you know what? We do need therapy. That's what she says to me. And I go, and she's like, we do. And we are going to do it. And it was like, yes,
That
right?
is wonderful.
And that's what it took. There were multiple people, right?
Yeah.
And she realized, right, that what she and her oldest kid was saying to like the younger kid, when the younger kid would show emotion and have those moments, it's kind of like, tough it out. You got this. Like, we ain't crying. What you crying for? Or like, okay, what's wrong? Everybody be quiet. Let's make room for it. You okay? You good?
Right.
But it was in that moment. Mind you, this took a whole school year though for us to get to this.
But
yeah,
that work over the course of that one school year will
it's going to change everything.
It will change everything.
Yeah. Right? And so us being able to have those resources and make the recommendation to the mom and say, okay, hey, here you go. This is where you need to go. You still need another copy of the paper because I know you done tossed it somewhere. It takes that kind of work, right? And not one time were we talking about the students' academics.
but it fuels that student's academics. You got to get to that to even get to the
academics. All of that work, right?
Yeah.
Here we are now, right?
I want to ask you a question as we're closing out. 2 questions, actually.
Okay.
Question 1 is, in one sentence, what do our children need most from us right now?
Ooh. Understanding. Our students need understanding. And that sounds very much simplifying it. But they are asking us to understand who they are and speaking to the point of not who we were when we were growing up, understanding who they are and the world that they're existing in right now. And I think if we could offer that, or at least maybe not understand, but willingness to try to get to know them. Because I might not understand you, but if I can offer you a willingness, a genuine willingness to get to know you and hear you, I think that would help.
Yeah, I think also it's acceptance on some level.
And then that step after that, right?
Yeah.
Acceptance for who.
Accept the person for who they are.
Who I am.
What you resist, that's where the pain comes.
Yeah.
When you resist.
And I guess too, like, oof, these middle schoolers ain't letting you not, because they ain't changing. They ain't backing down.
Right.
They are not backing
down.
Like, it. I am who I am.
Yeah.
This is me. Period. Right. And I love that about children in the hood as well, right? Because they are like 10 toes standing down on that. Right. They're unafraid. Miss. Not too much today, miss. No.
I can't take it. I'm not. Yeah.
Nuh-uh. Right. And it's like, I see you, Miss Ma'am. Yes.
And then my last question for you, Toria, is how can we support you?
Me. How can you support me? I think giving us spaces like this to speak authentically, and allowing us to share, and knowing, reaffirming that we do have folks here to support us. Because this work, many leaders will say it, this work could be very lonely.
Yeah,
right?
I can see that.
When I go into my principal's office and I have supported and put out fires, you go back there, you still feel this. But at the end of the day, this is my problem. It can fit. That's what you're telling yourself.
Yeah.
Right? That's not necessarily true, but knowing that we have spaces to be heard and share authentically, and then reaffirming that we're not in this work alone. I love what you said about, hey, this isn't just about like the schools. Like, this is everyone. Like, if everyone had that mindset, oh God, how much easier this work could be.
There are folks listening. There are folks who are out there. And we're kind of sending out a rally cry right now. There are folks who want to help.
Yeah.
And I think that there's like the funding and all of that, but then there's the other part of it.
Yeah.
the support for the
shift that's needed.
shift that's needed and for the cocoon that is education.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're listening and if you feel so inclined, let's start to think about ways that we can support this incredible work that educators are doing. Because it's an us problem. It's an us issue.
Yeah, it doesn't, on Monday through Friday, it doesn't feel like an us problem, right?
I can see that.
Right. When you're in it, once you can step back and take a look at it, right? And this is where my circle of girls come in, and we say this, right? Like, and then they want me to do this, right? But it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. We're just the ones that are going on the front line.
That's right.
But it is an us problem.
I want to thank you so much for
you.
taking the time to share with me. I myself have so much to think about from this conversation. What I'm thinking about is what we can do. What we can do, because it's not fair. Again, it's an us issue.
It is. That's it.
It's an us issue. And we all need each other, and we all need to support each other. And I think that the days of pretending that it's about 30 kids sitting at desks with their hands folded with an apple and a cheese sandwich, just receiving and not giving back of themselves, that is just not what's happening. And we have to live in the truth of the present moment, whether we like it or not. This is what's happening, and our children and our teachers and our administrators, our principals are at the front lines and experiencing this. And it's very important that we also hold ourselves accountable to being part of the solution. Those of us who can. Those of us who can.
Thank you for saying that. And naming that, because it is an us problem. Even that's just resonating. Like, it is an us problem. Right. So
and sometimes when you're in something so much, and I know I do this in my own way, in my own world, where I start thinking about, what am I going to do to fix this? And then I'm like, wait a minute.
This is way bigger than me.
Hold on a minute. I know people who are experts in social media and how to manage it. I know people who are mental health, and wellness people. Like, I know people that can sit down and have conversations with the students or the teachers or the parents. I know, we all know people who can help and support.
And that would help, right? Because
every piece of it helps.
And they hear it from us all the time. Right. And so it's not that they are not listening to us, but it becomes, it's the same old. So
I want to thank you so much. We are short on time. Girl, I could talk to you for hours.
I
could move on
this was
off of
easy.
work and talk about other things. If you're listening, couple of questions that I want to throw or offer to you. One is, if you're a parent or a caregiver of a middle school child or a child at any age, I invite you to pause for a second and ask yourself, what is your child, or what is my child carrying emotionally that might not be visible on the surface? And ask yourself if you're willing to listen to what that is. I think that's a very important question. Another question for those of you who are educators or community leaders: how are you nourishing your own well-being while also supporting others? And then lastly, what legacy are you shaping through the way that you show up for the young people in your life, whether you're a parent, an auntie, a coach, a neighbor, or just an adult who sees an opportunity to help and contribute and pour in? What are you willing to do? Is the question that I'm going to leave this audience with.
I love that.
Toria, thank you so much. This was beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Was.